Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So good morning, ma'am. Today I'm going to report about the regulations of body fluid compartment, which it talks about the concentrations of body fluid in our body. So first is we have osmosis and osmolality. So these two have different meaning and each functions. So first is we have osmosis. So when we say osmosis, is the movements of particles from higher water concentrations to lower water concentrations through a semi-permeable membrane. So when we say a semi-permeable membrane, this is things allowing substance to pass through it but not others. Allow passage of solvent but not of curtain solute. So, first, when we say osmosis, it's take place in water only. And also, can be stopped or reversed. That is osmosis. So, when we say naman osmolality, this means concentrations of dissolved particles of chemicals and minerals such as sodium and other electrolytes in your serum. So, diba, when we say a serum, this is the purpose of antioxidant serums. Help you exposed to on a daily basis. That is when we say serum. So, next is we have here. So, higher osmolality, meaning persons having higher osmolality means you have more particles in your serum, in your vessels level. And when persons naman lower osmolality, means the particles are more diluted. So, when we say diluted, di ba ito yung mga weakening additions of water or liquid in our body. So, next is we have a tonicity. So, di ba, when we say a tonicity, this means is the ability of all solute to cause on osmotic driving force to promote water movements from one compartment to another. So, meaning, tonicity, this is used to describe how an extracellular solution can change the volumes of cell by affecting osmosis. So, this tonicity, she is the one who extracellular solutions can change the volumes of cells to osmolality. That is when we say tonicity. So, there are three terms are associated with osmosis. So, we have osmotic pressure, oncotic pressure, and osmotic diuresis. So, first one is we have osmotic pressure. So, when we say osmotic pressure, ito yung the amounts of hydrostatic pressure need to stop the flow of water by osmosis. That is osmotic pressure. In another one, when we say osmotic pressure, this means which is the minimum pressure which need to be applied to a solutions to prevent semi-permeable membrane. So, it's also as the measure of the tendency of solution to take in pure solvents by osmosis. That is when we call osmotic pressure. So, number two is we have oncotic pressure. So, when we say oncotic pressure, it is the osmotic pressure exerted by protein. Examples, we have albumin. So, in addition, oncotic pressure, or we can call this colloid osmotic pressure. This pressure is a form of osmotic pressure induced by the potentials, notably, like for example, the albumin is a blood vessels, plasma, blood fluid, and that display water molecules, creating a relative water molecules deficit with water molecules moving back into the circulatory system. That is when we call oncotic pressure. So, in short, when we say oncotic pressure, this is the pressure exerted by protein. That is when we call oncotic pressure. So, in the last one, and the third one, terms for osmosis, we have osmotic diuresis. So, when we say osmotic diuresis, this is the increase in urine output caused by the exertions of substance such as glucose monitors or contrast agents in the urine. So meaning addition, meaning osmotic diuresis. This is the things increase the urination. Diba? So, due to the pressures of certain substances in the fluid filtered by the kidneys. So, that is when we call osmotic diuresis. So, the next one is we have diffusion. So, diba? We have two types, or I'm going to report about the two, osmosis and diffusion. So, when we say a diffusion means this is the movements of gases from an area of higher concentrations to lower concentrations. So, meaning, diffusions, it takes place in oxygen and carbon dioxide. Cannot be stopped or reversed. So, when we say diffusion, in addition, so, diffusion, meaning, this is the movements of gases, diba? You know, movements of gases, yeah. Not like the osmosis. So, osmosis only in a water. Then, diffusion in a gases or oxygen. Oxygen and carbon dioxide, that is in diffusion. So, in addition, diba, what is the difference between osmosis and diffusion? So, these are, in diffusion, diba, particles move from an area of the higher concentration, diba, yun na nga, to ones of lower concentration until equilibrium is reached. So, in osmosis naman, a semi-permeable membrane is present, so only the solvent molecules are free to move to equalize concentration. That is the difference between osmosis and diffusions. So, para madaling ninyong maintindihan kung anong ibig sabihin ng osmosis or diffusions, meaning osmosis which taken place in water, while the diffusion can take place in oxygen and carbon dioxide. Diba? That is the difference between osmosis and diffusion. So, that's all for my report. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Today, I'm going to tackle about filtration. Filtration, hydrostatic pressure in the capillary tins of filter fluid out of the intravascular compartment into the initial fluid. The kidney filter approximately 180 liters of plasma per day. Filtration is the passage of water and electrolytes from the arterial capillary bed to the interstitial fluid. Next is sodium-potassium pump. The sodium is greater in the ECF than the ICF. Mainly by the cell membrane inactively moves sodium from the cell into the ECF. The high intracellular potassium concentration is maintained by pumping potassium into the cell. Next is active transport. Active transport implies that energy must be expended for the movement to occur against a concentration gradient. So, active transport is usually associated with accumulating high concentrations of molecules that the cell needs, such as ions, glucose, and amino acids. So, example of active transport include the uptake of glucose in the intestines, in humans in the uptake of mineral ions into root hair cells of plants.
Good day everyone, I'm Aljustine Abdul from Ophiuchus at A. Yes, I'm third year student. For today, my topic is the role and functions of the kidney and lungs. So first, what is the functions of the kidney? Vital to the regulation of the fluid and electrolyte balance, the kidney normally filter 180 liters of plasma every day in the adult and excrete 1 to 2 liters of urine. They act both autonomously and in response to the blood-borne messenger, such as adolescents in the antidiuretic hormones or ADH. And we have also the 7 functions of the kidney. So A, controlling acid-base balance. W, controlling water balance. E, maintaining electrolyte balance. T. Removing toxins and waste product from the body. B. Controlling the blood pressure. E. Producing the hormones erythropoietin. And D. Activating the vitamin D. So moving on to the roles of the kidney. Their main job is to cleanse the blood of toxins and transform waste into urine. So each kidney weighs about 160 grams and get rid between 1.5 liters of urine per day. So the two kidneys together filter 200 liters of fluid in every 24 hours. The kidney also remove waste and extra fluid from your body. Kidney remove acid that is produced by the cells of your body and maintain the healthy balance of water, salt, and minerals such as sodium, calcium, phosphorus, potassium in your blood. Major functions of the kidney and maintaining normal fluid balance include the following: regulation of ECF volume and osmolality by selective retentions and excretion of body fluids, regulation of normal electrolyte levels in the ECF by selective electrolyte retention and excretion, regulation of pH of the ECF by retentions of hydrogen ions, excretion of metabolic waste and toxic substances. Given this function, failure of the kidney results in multiple fluids and electrolyte abnormalities will be prevented. And now we are going to discuss the role and functions of the lungs. The lungs are also vital in maintaining homeostasis. Tooth exhalation, the lungs remove approximately 300 ml of water daily in normal adults. Abnormal conditions such as hyperpnea, abnormality, deep respiration, or continuous coughing increase this loss. Mechanical ventilation with excessive moisture deficit, the lungs also play a major role in maintaining acid-base balance. There are 5 functions of respiratory system: gas exchange, oxygen and carbon dioxide, breathing, movement of the air, sound production, olfactory resistance, sense of smell, and the production from dust and microbes entering body through mucus production, cilia, and coughing. The main roles of the lungs is the process of gas exchange called respiration or breathing. In respiration, oxygen from incoming air enters the blood, and carbon dioxide, a waste gas from metabolism, leaves the blood. A reduced lungs functions means the ability of lungs to exchange gas is reduced. The lungs absorb oxygen from the air you breathe in and transport it to your bloodstream so they can get to every part of your body. As the cells in your body work, they produce a waste gas called carbon dioxide. So that is released into bloodstream. Your lungs get rid of this waste gas when you breathe out.
Good morning, Mom. Now I'm going to discuss the role of endocrine glands and regulating body fluids composition. The endocrine glands release hormones into the bloodstream. This lets the hormones travel into the other cells, parts of the body. The endocrine hormones help control mood, growth, and develop the way our organs work, metabolism, and reproduction. The main endocrine glands include pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, and adrenal glands. There are other glands that contain endocrine tissue and secrete hormones include pancreas. Pituitary glands is sometimes called the master glands of endocrine system because it controls the functions of many other endocrine glands. The pituitary gland is no larger than a pea and is located at the base of the brain. Regulating body fluids is mostly water and dissolved protein, but also contain metabolic blood, gas and hormones, and glucose. The composition of transcellular fluids varies, but some of these main electrolytes include sodium ions and chloride. The importance of regulating body fluids: the pH of body fluids is maintained with narrow limits. This fine of control is necessary to maintain the structure and function of the protein essential for normal progression of metabolic event. Regulate the chemical composition of body by removing metabolic waste and retaining the proper amounts of water and salt the nutrients. That's all for the role of endocrine glands and regulating body fluids composition.
Hello, good morning. I am Trisha Haramidi Akip. My report is about identify the effects of aging on fluid. These changes include impaired first perception, decreased glomerular filtration rate, alterations in hormone levels, including anti-diuretic hormone, atrial, natriuretic peptide, and aldosterone, decreased urinary concentrating ability and limitations, and excretion of water, sodium, potassium, and acid. The question is, does fluid decrease with age? Total body water decreases with age. In a younger man, near his ideal body weight, total body water composes 60% to 65% of his body mass. By age 80 years, this contribution is reduced to 50%. How does age affect fluid balance? Fluid and electrolyte homeostasis depend on a balance between the intake and output of water. Aging is characterized by reduced homeostatic capacity, changes in the control of both water intake and excretion accompany aging and may predispose the elderly to disturbances in sodium and water balance. So the effect of electrolytes regulation, it can develop from excessive or diminished ignitions and from the excessive or diminished eliminations of an electrolytes. So the most common of electrolytes regulations is renal failure. So the most serious electrolytes disturbances involve abnormalities in the level of sodium, potassium, and calcium. So it there is other electrolytes regulations are less common and often occurred in conjunction with major electrolytes changes. So one of these is chronic laxative abuse or severe diarrhea or vomiting. So it can lead to electrolytes. These electrolytes regulations can lead to electrolytes disturbances and combined with dehydration. So people suffering from bulimia or anorexia nervosa are especially at high risk for an electrolytes imbalance. So those electrolytes imbalance, electrolytes disturbances are reported by the next reporter. Then, so let's talk about, let's give an example like in kidney. So with aging, there are degenerative changes in many organs, and the kidney is no exemption. So either adult or young. So after age 40, there is an increase in cortical glomerulus, glomerulosclerosis and a decline in both glomerular filtration rate and renal plasma flow. Like what I said before, electrolytes regulations effect from the glomerular filtration rate and renal plasma. So these changes may be associated with inability to excrete a concentrate or a dilute urine, ammonium, sodium, or potassium. So one of the let me give you an example of what is this? So example is hypernatremia and hyponatremia. Those are the most common electrolytes abnormalities. So found in an elderly, and both are associated with a high mortality. Under normal conditions, the elderly are able to maintain water and electrolytes balance, but this may be by an illness. So decline in cognitive ability. With a certain medication, therefore, it is important to be aware of the potential electrolytes abnormalities in elderly that can arise under these various conditions in order to prevent adverse outcomes. So, to understand these changes, it is important to review the normal physiological changes in renal functions and fluid electrolytes balance associated with aging. So, in this important review, it involved the increase in total body water, decrease in GFR, or stands for glomerular filtration rates, and then decrease in urinary concentrating ability, increase in antidiuretic hormones, or known as ADH, increase in arterial natriuretic peptide, or ANP, and decrease in increase in aldosterone, decrease in thrush mechanism, decrease in pre-water clearances. So that's all for my report regarding affecting aging on electrolytes regulations.